At the end of January, during James Gunn's reveal of his new DCU, it was titled that he would be writing the script for a new Superman film titled Superman Legacy, which will essentially serve as the jumping off point for the new reboot in the DCU. And thus being kind of like a fresh slate and kind of a new start for the new DCU, obviously you would be having a new actor and just a new iteration on the Superman mythos and the character going forward for the first chapter of the DCU titled Gods and Monsters. And with that, there are just certain things that I hope are implemented, but more so other things that I hope are avoided when it comes to like the script writing process and the overall characterization of the character of Superman and Metropolis and the lore that I think best, encapsulates what the character is all about and what makes Superman as a character so special, kind of, go against the rendition that he's a boring character and that he's outdated, and then people saying that he can't really fit in a modern world. But I think characters like Captain America are a perfect example of how you keep the core values and aspects of a character and put them in a modern day setting. Like, they don't change, they don't go out of their way to change that character to fit in the modern world. I think that's kind of what makes it so interesting, is that now more than ever a character like Superman is most needed to kind of remind us of like those hopeful values and why we wish to have like a better future, be more hopeful, and just all those things, basic, functions of what makes a great Superman story. And kind of just a list of things I wanted to go over to that I hope are in it, or things that I really hope that the movie doesn't lean too heavily into. Now, it was stated that this movie would kind of be in Clark's earlier years, as a reporter, kind of like similar to how Matt Reeves' The Batman wasn't an origin story, but it was set around like year 2 of Bruce Wayne's career as Batman. So I guess here it'd probably be like a year 2 or so of, Clark Kent's career as Superman. And with this, obviously we don't want any flat origin flashbacks or any origins like at all. Like, we don't need to see Krypton blowing up again. We don't need to see him meeting Lois Lane for the first time. Like, I kind of just wanted to be Wakanda Art of established in this universe. Like, yeah, you can have him be kind of like the new employee-ish at the Daily Planet, but I don't want to be like, oh, like, hi, I'm Lois Lane. Like, I don't think we need that again. I think this should already kind of maybe be at a point where Lois and Clark kind of, I guess, slowly building a bond of some sort. But they don't have to all like already be like in a deep relationship or anything, and also kind of serve as a jumping off point into introducing us to like the supporting cast. Because one thing about like the Henry Cavill version, due to the fact that we didn't really get a lot of Superman movies in that old DCEUs, that we never really got to see much of like the Daily Planet. Like, we never got to see much of like the aesthetic and like the actual core roster. Like, Jimmy Olsen like freaking got shot in the head in the Ultimate Edition of BVS.
Challenge down, sir.
And I just hope that alongside that, it also gives attention to a Metropolis, kind of like how in the Batman Gotham had like a feel. Like, you kind of got a sense of how the city operated and the type of people that were in it and why it's so horrible. Kind of do that with Metropolis, kind of give a vibe, what kind of vibe and what kind of tone that Metropolis really gives off, to the audience. How are the people, the visual aesthetic, kind of like the bright tone thing that could be implemented depending on the director. This is a really good chance to have a lot of cool visual imagery and like, implement a lot of cinematography elements that fit well with the character of Superman, kind of like with the cinematography for the Batman, the use of colors, the dark colors, and the gothic architecture and aesthetic of Gotham City. And, along with the fact that it is a brand new actor, it is a new universe, Henry Cavill's no longer going to play the character. And since it is going to be a younger Superman, obviously they're going to cast an actor that's a little bit on the younger side. And, it'd be kind of weird. Like, I hope with this is that they don't cast an actor that looks like Henry Cavill or is like 4 years younger than Henry Cavill, because then it'd just be like, then why would you go out of your way to get rid of him in the first place? So I'm hoping with this new casting is that obviously it has to be someone at the right age range, but also someone who doesn't like, oh yeah, that's just a Henry Cavill clone. Like, you kind of need someone who obviously gives off the vibes of Superman, that can convincingly play the Superman character, but also isn't like a retread of like the Henry Cavill's rendition of the character, and kind of lean more heavily into like the hopeful aspect, which wasn't completely absent from the Henry Cavill's adaptation or like in Man of Steel, but obviously you'd be more like comic accurate with it, considering that James Gunn's one of his inspirations for the movie for Superman Legacy is the All-Star Superman written by Grant Morrison, and then there's also the animated movie version of that. And kind of rendering into Superman's ideology of being the more hopeful character. I think one of the better Superman stories that I've seen through like animation is Superman versus the Elite, which was based off of the that one Action Comics issue. I think it was titled "What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way," and it was basically just kind of like a group of like these so-called superpowered individuals that are trying to do good around the world, but obviously like they kill people and they're very vicious about it, and they kind of challenge Superman's ideals of like, why do you not kill these people? They deserve to die. Your ways of outdated. And then you kind of see Superman do almost like a fake out of like what would happen if he kind of crossed that line. If he just started like killing everybody and he just went on a total rampage. But it feels unnatural. It doesn't feel right. It feels very uncomfortable. It's a weird feeling. But then when you find out that's not always the case, it's kind of on the emphasis of why it's so important to keep those morals, and as to why you always have to strive for like a better tomorrow. The whole truth, justice, and the American way. As a stance on what we trying to have the American dream to be. And so with that, obviously, maybe you shouldn't like kill people in this universe. Unlike Man of Steel, maybe you should probably like avoid that.
The way you feel. One kiss is all it takes. Falling in love with me.
Fucking shit on my fucking screen. That'd be really cool. Anyway, and then obviously this should be a no-brainer, but I just thought this movie can't be mid. Like I'm pretty sure it won't be. James Gunn, he's a talented filmmaker. Both the Guardians films I really enjoyed, and Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad were also really good renditions to the DC universe. So I could see why they wanted someone like James Gunn to kind of helm into the script writing process. So I have no concerns that the movie will be mediocre or bad. I'm sure it'll be really good. But in the event that it does, I would be really bad, because not only is this kicking off your universe, you also, got rid of Henry Cavill, a very, beloved, actor for this role. So, just, obviously they're taking their time with it. A lot of the things that I wish they're already doing, they're taking their time. He's been working on the script for since August. He said James Gunn's been working on the script for over 6 months. They're gonna obviously do casting whenever they're ready with the script, and it's really, you could really tell that they actually understand the character this time around. Going more comic book accurate with it, and like James Gunn just embracing the comics as well, kind of like him adapting Tom King's Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow into a live action movie, which is already like a first really good sign about this new universe. But there's just kind of a few things that I think will best kind of invoke a positive outlook on this universe, kind of avoid some of the problems that arose with the general audience or like comic book fans' life with the previous rendition of Superman, and I guess kind of lead to a better future for the DCU going forward.